วัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีครับ
I am ชนันพรรถจันทร์
I'm Zhenya Vashuk and I'm very pleased to be here again with my friend Kuncharan.
Yes, and we would like to welcome you to our Meditation for Peace program.
You know, it's getting close to important day, Kuncharan.
Yes.
The day of casting the Dhammakaya Buddha images and also the great alms given to 30,000 temples around Thailand at Wat Dhammakaya.
Which will be held on Wednesday, April 22nd, not too long to go now.
I have cleared my schedule just to attend this great event, you know.
I also did the same thing. I will make sure that I will not have to fly on that day. It is so important, I could not miss it.
Yeah. But before that, we now have to practice our meditation because when the day comes, our mind will need to be ready for purity and clarity. Our mind will be the container for all our merit, which we will collect from all our good deeds.
So now, we should start to train our minds in meditation. Let's start it together.
ตั้งใจหลับตาเจริญสมาธิภาวนากันนะจ๊ะหลับตาเบาๆพอสบายหลับตาเบาๆพอสบายแล้วก็ผ่อนคลายกล้ามเนื้อทุกส่วนของร่างกายของเรานั่นแหละให้มีความรู้สึกว่ามันสบายไม่มีส่วนใดส่วนหนึ่งร่างกายเราเกร็งหรือตึงนะจ๊ะต้องผ่อนคลายหลับเบาๆหลับตาสักค่อนลูกคือไม่ถึงกับปิดสนิทพอสบายๆคล้ายๆกับตอนที่เราใกล้จะหลับนะจ๊ะหลับสบายผ่อนคลายกล้ามเนื้อทุกส่วนของร่างกายเราตั้งแต่ศีรษะเลื่อยมาเลยใบหน้าศีรษะลำคอให้ผ่อนคลายบ่าไหล่แขนทั้งสองฝ่ามือถึงปลายนิ้วมือให้ผ่อนคลายร่างกายตั้งแต่ลำตัวสะโพกขาทั้งสองถึงปลายนิ้วเท้านะจ๊ะให้ผ่อนคลายให้หมดทั้งเนื้อทั้งตัวสำรวจตรวจตาให้ดีขยับเนื้อขยับตัวของเราให้ดีเนี่ยเลือดลมจะได้เดินได้สะดวกนะจ๊ะผ่อนคลายทุกจุดแล้วก็ทำใจของเรานะให้เบิกบานให้แจ่มชื่นให้สะอาดบริสุทธิ์ผ่องใสไร้กังวลในทุกสิ่งไม่ว่าจะเป็นเรื่องอะไรก็ตามให้ปลดให้ปล่อยให้วางทำใจให้ว่างๆไม่ผูกพันกับคนสัตว์สิ่งของใดๆทั้งสิ้นทำประหนึ่งว่าเราอยู่คนเดียวในโลกไม่เคยมีเครื่อง ผูกพันเลยเนี่ยทั้งคนทั้งสัตว์ทั้งสิ่งของธุรกิจการงานบ้านช่องการศึกษาเล่าเรียนหรือเรื่องอะไรที่นอกเหนือจากนี้เนี่ยปล่อยวางให้หมดนะจ๊ะการให้โอกาสกับตัวเราเองทำความเพียรอย่างถูกหลักวิชาจากครั้งละ1 นาทีเนี่ยมันก็จะค่อยๆเพิ่มพูนไป2 นาที3 นาทีมันก็ขยายเวลาเพิ่มขึ้นเราได้เดินไปข้างหน้าอยู่ตลอดเวลาลุกหน้าเข้าไปเรื่อยๆก็เท่ากับว่าเราใกล้ไปสู่จุดหมายปลายทางเข้าไปเรื่อยๆเพราะนั้นเราหยุดใจไปหยุดนิ่งๆฝึกไปเรื่อยๆอย่าไปท้ออย่าไปฮึดฮัดเอาจริงเอาจังเกินไปให้ทำใจหลวมๆเหมือนเราสวมเสื้อผ้าหลวมๆกันนะประคองไปเรื่อยๆประคองใจไปภาวนาสัมมาอรหังให้มันติดไปจนกระทั่งเราเก็บเอาไปฝันหนึ่งอันตื่นหลับฝันมีแต่คำภาวนาที่มันติดไปจนกว่าจะถึงจุดที่ถึงฝั่งของสมาธิแล้วเห็นดวงใสแล้วเราก็ไม่จำเป็นต้องใช้คำภาวนาต่อไปเมื่อใจหยุดนิ่งแล้วก็ดิ่งเข้าไปสู่ภายในตกศูนย์ดวงธรรมลอยขึ้นมามันเกิดขึ้นในศูนย์กลางกายฐานที่ 7เราได้สัมผัสความสุขที่แท้จริงที่มาพร้อมกับดวงธรรมนั้นพอถึงตรงนี้ก็ให้รักษาเอาไว้ให้ดีให้ยิ่งกว่าการรักษาชีวิตอย่าชะล่าใจว่าเราจะทำเมื่อไหร่ก็ได้มันไม่ง่ายขนาดนั้นนะจ๊ะแม้เราเคยเข้าถึงและสิ่งนี้มีอยู่ในตัวก็ตามเพราะว่าทันทีที่เราประมาทชะล่าใจไม่ทำให้ต่อเนื่องใจก็จะถูกดึงไปพัวพันกับสิ่งที่ทำให้ใจเราหยาบขุ่นมัวฟุ้งซ่านอย่างนี้ไปเรื่อยๆเพราะฉะนั้นพอเรามานั่งเพราะเริ่มจะมีอารมณ์อยากจะนั่งอีกตอนนี้เราก็จะอยากได้ประสบการณ์เก่าๆที่เราเคยได้แต่ความอยากตอนนี้มันจะรุนแรงจนกระทั่งกลายเป็นความลุ้นเร่งเพ่งและก็จ้องซึ่งพอความรู้สึกนี้เกิดขึ้นลมมันก็หยาบลมในตัวกายก็หยาบใจก็หยาบพอใจหยาบมันก็ไปสู่ที่ละเอียดไม่ได้ดวงธรรมใสๆนั่นเป็นของละเอียดเมื่อเครื่องส่งกับเครื่องรับเนี่ยมันมีความละเอียดไม่เท่ากันอายตนะมันไม่ตรงกันมันก็ไปถึงไม่ได้อันนี้แหละคือสิ่งที่ผู้ที่ชะล่าใจจะได้รับถ้าเคยได้แล้วก็ปล่อยปละละเลยไม่ทำต่อมันเหมือนเป็นการลงทันกับตัวเราเองเนี่ยโดยความทุกข์ทรมานว่าสิ่งที่เราเคยได้และเข้าถึงแล้วทำไมเราไม่ได้อีกทั้งที่สิ่งนั้นก็ยังมีอยู่ที่เดิมและพร้อมที่จะให้เราเห็นได้ตลอดเวลานี่เพราะความประมาทและชราใจสำหรับผู้ที่เคยเข้าถึงแล้วนะ เพราะฉะนั้นถ้าเราเข้าถึงแล้วก็ต้องหวงแหนเอาไว้รักษาเอาไว้โดยการทำใจหยุดนิ่งดูไปเรื่อยๆทั้งหลับตาลืมตาในทุกอิริยาบถกิจและกรรมไม่ว่าจะครองเรือนออกกำลังกายทำมาหากินศึกษาเล่าเรียนหรือทำอะไรก็แล้วแต่แล้วก็ตรึกไปในสุดมันก็จะติดเป็นอัตโนมัติเมื่อติดเป็นอัตโนมัติแล้วเราจะไปหกเขมรตีลังกาอย่างไรเนี่ยมันก็ยังเห็นอยู่จะหลับตาลืมตาจะพูดจะคุยจะติดต่อธุรกิจการงานมันก็ยังเห็นอยู่ภายในซึ่งมันจะแบ่งออกมาภายนอกครึ่งหนึ่งแล้วอยู่ภายในครึ่งหนึ่งเองเป็นอัตโนมัติคล้ายๆกับว่าดวงธรรมใสๆที่เราเข้าถึงนั้นเป็นอวัยวะส่วนหนึ่งของชีวิตจิตใจของเราเหมือนดวงตาจมูกใบหูก็เป็นอวัยวะส่วนหนึ่งร่างกายนี่ก็เหมือนกันแต่หลังจากนั้นก็เราก็ฝึกหยุดนิ่งไปเรื่อยๆที่กลางดวงนั้นฝึกไปทำความคุ้นเคยกันไปเรื่อยๆพอคุ้นเคยหนักเข้าเดี๋ยวมันก็จะถูกดึงแล้วก็ดูดเข้าไปสู่ภายในแล้วก็เรื่องราวดีๆก็จะเกิดขึ้นจะถูกเปิดเผยขึ้นเมื่อใจเราดิ่งเข้าไปสู่ภายในและขยายไปทุกทิศทุกทางเพราะฉะนั้นตอนนี้จึงอยู่ที่ว่าทำอย่างไรใจจึงจะหยุดจะนิ่งได้หยุดกับนิ่งอย่างนี้เนี่ยเราสามารถทำกันได้ทุกคนถ้าเราเป็นคนปกติธรรมดาสุขภาพร่างกายและจิตใจเราแข็งแรงสมบูรณ์ถ้ามีความเพียรแล้วก็ทำถูกหลักวิชาเราก็ต้องเข้าถึงกันอย่างแน่นอนไอ้ที่เข้าไม่ถึงเพราะว่าทำไม่จริงไม่ต่อเนื่องแล้วก็ไม่ได้ถูกหลักวิชาใจเนี่ยเราต้องฝึกบ่อยๆประคับประคองบ่อยๆให้อยู่ภายในตัวเราให้ไปคลอเคลียร์นวลนีอยู่ที่กลางท้องที่ศูนย์กลางกายฐานที่7ลืมตาเดี๋ยวถ้าเรามีบริกรรมนิมิตเป็นที่ยึดที่เกาะของใจมันก็จะง่ายกว่าในการที่เราไม่ได้นึกนิมิตเพราะฉะนั้นถ้าในอริยบทอื่นแล้วก็ตรึกถึงดวงใสหยุดอยู่ในกลางดวงใสๆหรือตรึกถึงองค์พระแก้วใสๆหยุดอยู่ในกลางองค์พระแก้วใสๆถ้าเรามั่นใจว่าไม่ฟุ้งหรือเราพยายามนึกแล้วมันไม่ออกนึกแล้วปวดศีรษะมึนตึงก็วางใจนิ่งเฉยๆที่ศูนย์กลางกายฐานที่7แต่ก็ไม่ต้องกังวลฐานที่7มากเกินไปเอาว่าอยู่ในบริเวณกลางท้องแล้วก็ประคองใจด้วยบริกรรมภาวนาสัมมาอรหังสัมมาอรหังสัมมาอรหังเรื่อยไปเลยให้เสียงคำภาวนาดังออกมาจากในกลางท้องของเราเป็นเสียงที่ละเอียดอ่อนที่เราไม่ได้ใช้กำลังในการท่องคล้ายๆกับดังออกมาเองเหมือนบทสวดมนต์ที่เราคุ้นเคยทำอย่างนั้นเรื่อยไปเลยจนกว่าใจเนี่ยมันจะหยุดมันจะนิ่งต้องตรึกไปเรื่อยๆ เพราะเรายังเป็นผู้ฝึกหัดใหม่ใจมันยังไม่มั่นคงมันยังไม่ตั้งมั่นมันยังโลเลอยู่เดี๋ยวอยู่ภายในเดี๋ยวออกไปภายนอกแต่มักจะออกไปภายนอกมากกว่าเพราะว่าชีวิตประจำวันเราเนี่ยมีการนำมาหากินพบปะผู้คนชีวิตถูกหล่อหลอมด้วยสิ่งที่หยาบๆด้วยสิ่งภายนอกใจก็จะต้องถูกดึงออกไปสู่ภายนอกดังนั้นเราก็ต้องหมั่นดึงกลับเข้ามาสู่ภายในฝึกกันไปบ่อยๆแม้ว่าเราจะมีความรู้สึกว่าเหมือนไม่ก้าวหน้าเหมือนกับว่าเราไม่ได้อะไรแต่ความจริงมันไม่ใช่อย่างนั้นทุกครั้งที่เราหลับตาแล้วก็เก็บใจไว้ในกลางกายสมาธิจะถูกสั่งสมกันไปทีละเล็กทีละน้อยอย่างที่เราไม่รู้สึกตัวเลยว่าเราเกิดความเจริญรุ่งเรืองเกี่ยวกับเรื่องสมาธิแล้วเมื่อเราลดน้ำต้นไม้ที่โคนต้นวันละขันวันละกระป๋องต้นไม้ก็เจริญเติบโตขึ้นทีละเล็กทีละน้อยเราแยกไม่ออกหรอกว่าวันหนึ่งเนี่ยมันโตขึ้นวันละกี่เซนแต่ถ้าหากเรายังทำอย่างนั้นต่อไปไม่ช้ามันก็จะมีดอกมีผลตอบแทนเราการหลับตาทำสมาธินี่ก็เช่นเดียวกันใจจะถูกฝึกให้หยุดนิ่งอยู่ภายในจะถูกยกให้สูงขึ้นจะถูกกรองถูกกลั่นให้ใสให้สะอาดให้บริสุทธิ์ขึ้นเราจะเริ่มนิ่งขึ้นแม้ว่าเริ่มต้นจะนิ่งสักนาทีหนึ่งนะมันก็เป็นรางวัลสำหรับการให้โอกาสกับตัวเราเองทำความเพียรอย่างถูกหลักวิชาดังนั้นในช่วงนี้นะจ๊ะเราฝึกให้ใจวางเบาๆค่อยๆประคับประคองวางเบาๆนึกถึงของใสๆเป็นดวงหรือองค์พระใสๆเทียบเคียงกับความใสของสิ่งที่เราเคยเห็นนั่นนะใสของกระจกของน้ำหรือของเพชรหรือความใสสว่างของดวงดาวในอากาศเราก็ค่อยๆนิ่งๆแต่อย่าเผลอกดลูกในตาไปดูนะจ๊ะอย่าเผลอทำนิ่งๆนิ่งๆอย่างเดียวให้ใจได้สัมผัสกับความนิ่งได้สมบูรณ์หยุดกันนิ่งอาจจะภาวนาสัมมาอรหังสัมมาอรหังเรื่อยไปหรือจะไม่ภาวนาก็แล้วแต่ใจเราสมัครเอานะจ๊ะสมัครใจอย่างไรก็เอาอย่างนั้นเราลองทำกันดูผ่อนคลายใจนิ่งนุ่มเบาๆสบายฝึกกันไปนะจ๊ะ
Acknowledge that we learn at school, for which of all of us spend so much time and effort to learn. It is not enough for our life in this circle of rebirth.
You're right. So Luang Pu Sot Jantasaro, the former abbot of Wat Pak Nam Pasi Jaran, knew about the fact of life and the rounds of rebirth. He has so much compassion and wanted us to be free from all the sufferings. This is why he brought this teaching of Vicha Thammakai to us in order for us to have the best and correct practice and therefore to become free.
He had compassion and sacrificed his whole life to rediscover the truth and to teach us too. So in our lives we will not make any mistakes and do not waste our time.
I regret that he had already passed away. If he were still alive today, he would be 174 years old by now.
Even though he is not longer with us, now we have the most venerable Lompo Tamachio. He is our leader now, and he teaches us to do only good deeds. He has always taught us how to live our lives by showing us the right example and to be on the correct path.
Yes, I would like to express our deepest gratitude to the Most Venerable Luang Po. He sacrifices his valuable time for all of us. We should be deeply impressed with his compassion and try to be successful in all his teachings that he gives to us as a way to show our gratitude to him.
He does not want anything from us except for us to be able to have our mind stop, to be still, and for us to reach our inner body of truth. I don't think it sounds so difficult.
It is not too difficult. If we practice meditation regularly, even though we might have the darkness inside, but someday we will experience clarity and brightness.
As we have promised our viewers, Kunchunamparan,
Yes.
we will continue with the Commissioner General of Buddhist Affairs of Sri Lanka, Mr. Chandra Prema Gamaki.
And because I heard that Sri Lanka is very strong, in Buddhism, right? How Sri Lankan government make people aware of the Buddhism and how they make people aware of their own culture.
Our effort is we want to, our belief is we want to practice day-to-day life, these Buddhist policies. We want to teach it for our children. The better place is Dhamma school to teach that. That's why we have an idea of increase that 67%, at least up to 80% within 2-3 years.
Do you want to increase the amount of student attend Dhamma school to
yes, percentage means that the number of students will be increased.
Okay, because
we want to teach them to practice for day-to-day life, practice Buddha's teaching, their day-to-day life. It will be very useful to correct their livings, correct their lives, and to select correct path. We have experienced those things. The people who educated from Dhamma school, their life is very good. Their attitude is also very good, relative with others.
Dr. Sva, I totally agree with the Commissioner General. Maybe I think this is the reason that makes Sri Lankans very strong in Buddhism.
Yes, because in my opinion, Sri Lanka have a very strong Buddhist tradition.
Yes.
And this tradition is how Sri Lanka people keep this tradition very strong until nowadays.
The main reason is our monks, I think. from ancient era, they have dedicated for their activities, especially protect their temples and teaching their people and to have relation with their people. They normally go for their funeral, almsgiving. People are coming to the temple. Now we have 3-year plan for the future for our activities. We have an idea of strengthening this relationship between the people and the temple. Then people will send their children to the Dhamma school. People will participate all ceremonies in the temple. Therefore, we can improve their knowledge. The most important thing is, if we learn correctly Buddhism, we can go correct way.
Yeah. Right now, what you say is that because we heard that Sri Lanka is very strong in Buddhism, right? What you just said is like, it means because nowadays is a modern technology comes in our life, is that these kind of things affect in Sri Lanka, people in Sri Lanka, the way of life is an effect?
Certainly, new technology and new things will affect a little or more. That will affect to lives of Sri Lanka or any other country's people. We can't avoid from that. But because of the Buddhism, Sri Lanka people always try to go correct path and try to make their children, try to turn their children to correct path. That is the base of the Buddhism. That is, they always, especially our Buddhist people, if they go to the town also, if they go to the town for their jobs and so many activities, but normally they behave as villagers, they behave as Buddhists. Now also in our country, people's behavior is not so bad. I think they help each other. They try to observe, they protect their principles. They try to have relationship with the temples. They try to have a good life.
You mean by people who live in the city, including people who live in the city?
Some people live in city. I can't tell 100% really. I can't tell about them. But most of the people, their behavior is not bad. I think the reason is the Buddhism.
I totally agree, because I have went to many Western countries, and Sri Lankan people, community, they preserve that Buddhist tradition very strong.
Maybe you want to share with the viewers about how they preserve their culture, their traditional.
I don't know why, but
Maybe let the Commissioner General or explain, because his own culture maybe.
You ask again?
And Dr. Swass said, because in Western country,
yes.
yeah, he met some of the Sri Lankans who live even abroad, right? Somehow they're still very strong and try to preserve the Buddhist way of life. Maybe, Doctor, you want to continue a bit? Maybe the General can.
Yes, they stay together and they help each other to take care of the monks in the Sri Lankan temple in that countries.
I heard they even wash the monks' feet, just to pay respect.
Yes, it's really, because Sri Lankan people, they pay high respect to the monk.
Maybe the Commissioner General want to explain why they do that. Because I thought in Thailand that we used to have that in maybe in Asian years. I don't think in Thailand we have anymore, but in Sri Lanka they still do it. Maybe the Commissioner General want to explain what is the reason why people think and they want to do that.
As I said, our 72% of people are Buddhist now.
Yes.
As Buddhists, they have educated Buddhism at least in their school time, at least. They have an idea of Buddha's teaching. They have experience in day-to-day life. They have spent their lives with the help of their parents and with the instruction of their monks in the temple, village temple. The reason is Buddha's teaching is in her or his mind.
Yeah, so by washing the monk's feet, that's another way to pay respect to the Buddha, because the monk is a representative of the Lord Buddha. Is that right?
That's right. That is the main reason. The other thing is he is instructing for all the activities in day-to-day life. When we go to the temple, in our childhood, when we go to the temple with our parents, they ask some questions, they instruct us. Normally they instruct. Our monks always instruct to the children, parents, and all the people. That instruction also helpful to correct our
Yeah, they're like a teacher too in the Dhamma field. Huh? Yeah, and you mentioned about the alms offering, because in Thailand we have the alms offering too. How Sri Lanka do for the alms offering? Because in Thailand we have the monks go out with bare feet and just holding the bowl, and people will pay respect and offer pay food to keep food to the monk. How Sri Lankan normally the monks do that too?
Normally people are going to the temple. Sometimes monks are going out for Findabath. That is a rare case. But normally people go to the temple and participate to alms schemes.
Either to go to the temple or invite the monk to come home? The monks, the Sri Lankan people invite the monks to their own house?
In the temple, people are going to the temple.
Just that.
But after the funeral, 3 months after the funeral, people invite the monks, and monks come to home.
Yeah, and I heard another one thing is different, because ordination for the man, right? When they enter into the monk's life, and it's different from in Thailand. In Thailand, we can doctor, you can
It is
tell.
very strict in Sri Lanka that if someone wants to ordain as a monk in Sri Lanka, it
Not
is very
compulsory, no.
Not-
That is not compulsory.
not compulsory.
Not compulsory.
And it's very restrict.
Restricts
It's
means
happening-
normally
Every
that is
people
not
cannot-
that is not what is the temporary things, no? In I think in Thailand it is not permanent activity.
No, I don't think it's don't have to, because for man can come in and out of the ordination just whenever they like. But
As in
it's a Sri
Thailand,
Lankan.
we have some
Right.
summer
One time.
ordination. If when they have free time of their work, they can join the monk life. But in Sri Lanka, it is different.
In Sri Lanka, that is not compulsory. That is not compulsory. But they can live in temple, or they can go out, no problem.
But we ordain only one time in life. Is that right?
ordained and then go home. Sometimes he come back. No problem.
To go home as a monk,
No.
Disrobe.
disrobe,
Disrobe.
and can come back
This
again.
one, yes, can come.
Okay, well, have the almost the same culture. It's the
No,
same.
but normally they don't go.
They don't
Normally, I think 10% of few people go out.
Disrobe.
They remain in the temple until the death.
Okay, that's what probably that make it very strong to on this.
More monks. The percentage is high. They remain.
When it comes to competition, a mark or two becomes very important. It could make or break it for you.
It is a great idea which will bring children to pay more attention in truly valuable things and help them to learn more about their own culture.
We know now that even though we are all from Buddhist countries, but some of the practices are not the same.
So for our viewers who have any plans to travel to other countries, you can try to study their customs and cultures. You will then not be too surprised when you arrive.
Monks are very important in the lives of the Sri Lankan people. No matter where they live, when they see the monks, they will immediately sit down and pay respect to them.
In the past few weeks in our program, we have learned why monks are so important for our life and why they deserve respect from all of us.
We will see and hear this in the next session, which the Venerable Prat Nicholas Thanisaro has spent his time to teach us Dhamma. Let's listen to the teaching now.
Yes, the last week the Venerable had mentioned about the beliefs on the king during the Buddha era. Now we will continue our lesson to see even further interesting information about this topic.
But then again, Kumara Kassapa had his parable to illustrate the real nature of heaven for the people who, even though they may have wanted to come back to tell King Payasi all about heaven, failed to do so. And his particular parable in this case is the parable of a person who had fallen in a septic tank. A septic tank, in this case, being compared to the human realm. So a nasty, dirty, sordid sort of place, which if you can manage to get out into the beautiful existence, which is the heaven realm, the likelihood of you wanting to go back into that nasty, smelly human realm, again, if it's not by force, is very unlikely. Just as a person who has fallen in a septic tank, been helped out by his friends, been washed, scrubbed down, perfumed and given a new set of clothes, isn't very likely to want to go back into the septic tank again just to tell their friend in the septic tank about how nice it is once you get out. So this is not just a joke, but it's said that angels generally don't like to visit the human realm because human realm is particularly sort of pungent compared with the heaven realms. It's a dirty place which, if you don't need to get a particular very serious merit by coming back to the human realm, you wouldn't want to come back at all as an angel. Okay? And then there's this thing about the timing as well. 1 day and 1 night in the realm of Jatu Maharajika is equal to 50 years in the human realm. So again, if that angel was a little bit forgetful, they forgot about it just overnight, to go back and tell King Payasi about how wonderful is this heaven realm, he would be already at the end of his life, because 50 years would have passed. So it's like human realm is almost like the center of the wheel, but all the other heavens are like the edge or the rim of the wheel, which are spinning in time at a much faster rate. Okay? So he said, well, how about the second level of heaven? Second level of heaven is a place where you have to keep 5 precepts to be able to get there. And if I again have gone to all those on their deathbeds around my kingdom who have been established in the 5 precepts. And again, they promised me that they would come back and tell me if the second level of heaven, known as Dawadingsa, existed, if they ever got there. And none of them ever came back to tell me about it. And Kumarakasapa again had his parable for the king that this is rather like a person who has been blind from birth, denying the existence of color. If a person is unable to see, then they are not a very good witness for something which other people can see perfectly well. And if it's the case that those who have developed the inner eye of wisdom from their meditation are able to see the existence of such heaven realms, then why should you take the testimony of someone who can't see it and trust their testimony over someone who can see? Because there are many enlightened people in the world who have been able to see the existence of such places and even visit there through the powers of their meditation. So it's not just one person's word against another, but you should be looking at the credentials of the sort of people you are talking about, especially the level of their virtue. Then the king had another twist to his tale. He said, well, if heaven is such a great place, then people who are monks will certainly go there because they have done more good deeds than everyone else during their life. And if heaven is such a great place, then those monks should be in a hurry to get to heaven. So you would see monks committing suicide so they didn't have to put up with this terrible existence in the human realm, and they could hurry up and go to the heaven realm more quickly, because the heaven realm is such a great place to go. Now, what do you think about that? Are you in a rush to go to heaven now? Or are you going to wait to ordain first? And then you can curtail your life with the confidence that you'd have the heaven realms as your afterlife destination. Is that the idea? I hope not anyway, otherwise we might not be letting you ordain. Well, what we know is that the longer you stay as the monk, then the higher level of heaven realm you could go to as well, because as a monk you collect up more and more good deeds, and that will keep you in the heaven realm for longer. So obviously there are little details like this which King Payasi didn't realize. But Kumarakasapa again answered him with a parable. And the parable in this case was to do with ruining your opportunity for something by rushing to get the proof of it. Rather, probably something from his own heart, because if they'd done the same thing to his mother when she was pregnant to get incontrovertible evidence before the time had come, then he would have been finished as well. And he said, supposing there is a mother who has a son from her previous marriage, she marries again, and she gets pregnant by the new father. If the child in her belly is a daughter, then he would get half the inheritance, even though he's not a blood relation of that family. However, if the child in her belly is a son, then he would be written out of the inheritance. True? That's sort of Indian sort of logic. Okay, so if it's a daughter, he still has some share of the inheritance, but if it's a new son is born, even though the son may be younger than him, but he won't be in the inheritance because that is the blood relation of the new father. So he was in a real rush to know whether the child his mother was pregnant with is a son or a daughter. And because he was in such a rush to find out, he decided that he would do a live dissection on his mother to find out the gender of his new younger sibling. Unfortunately, in the olden days, they didn't have things like X-rays and ultrasound scanners or clinical operating theaters where you could have an antiseptic environment, and the result of his curiosity was that both the baby and the mother died. So, although he got his information, but the information was null and void because he had destroyed both of those people in the process. In the same way, monks would not want to commit suicide to rush to see what heaven is like, because they ruin the very thing that would get them to heaven in the first place, which is dying with a wholesome state of mind. If you are stupid enough to want to kill yourself, then that's not a wholesome state of mind which is going to lead you to a happier place when you pass away. Okay?
Today we have learned about the heaven realm. One day in the heaven realm is counted by so many as tens of years in the human realm.
Jenya, there are so many things that we don't know, so we should not be negligent in our learning. We have to allow ourselves to listen to the Dhamma. We do not need to believe it all at the beginning, but just listen and then consider the truth of it. It is not wasting your time, right?
No, it's not. But if you think about it and then you are still not sure, you can try to prove it by yourself by closing your eyes and meditate. During your meditation, you can imagine the sun or the moon in your stomach. Just keep on looking. Then your mind is still and focused and you reach the inner body inside. Then miracle things can happen to your life.
The benefit of this is that the world would be a great place to live for everyone. This world will be full of peace and sharing will happen. It doesn't matter who you are or where you're from.
It makes me so happy when I think about the meditation. If our viewers would like to share the same feeling of happiness like me, you have to start practicing meditation regularly according to how Luang Por has taught us all at the beginning of the program.
I'm so pleased that you understand and feel so happy with meditation. Now we will see things which make us even more joyful in our next episode.
The inaugural opening of the Mahadhammakaya Satya, April 22nd, 2000. First episode. Since the beginning of the establishment in 1995, an arid paddy field gradually developed into the construction site of the Mahadhammakaya Satya. From the New Year's meditation retreat, held to purify the land, to the last piling, the images remained fresh in people's minds. As years of its construction have gone by, no one could deny that the many meritorious events taking place here have captured many of man's challenges and man's ability to overcome obstacles. It was a testimonial to the wonderful men and women who had striven their best in life to build this wonderful of the world. In recognition of this Earth Day, 22nd of April 2000 was chosen for the inaugural ceremony to celebrate the completion of the Mahadhammakaya Satya. The ceremonial activity started at 9:30 a.m. when Prarabh Havana Visud entered the centre of the ceremonial ground to lead chanting and homage to the Triple Gem. Then conducting meditation to make the mind of the congregation pure and ready for the merit of the good deed that was about to happen. Participating in the ceremony were 100,000 Buddhist monks and also 13,000 novices who'd ordained specially for this unique event. In the afternoon, Buddhist monks from 1,000 temples received robes offered by representatives of lay people.
Itang watang satsami kang pang sukula jiwa rang mai hang pa punati
ยะถาวาริวหาปุราปริปุเรนติสาคารังเอวะเมวะอิโตทินังเปตานังอุปกาปติอิจิตังปฏิตังตุมหังกิปะเมวะสมิจจตุสัพเพปุเรนตุสังกปาจันโทปนรโสยะถามณิโชติระโสยะถาสัพพิติโยวิวัจจันตุสัมภโรโควินาศตุมาเตภวัตวันตรายโยสุขี
To celebrate this special occasion, the congregation offered primordial fire in homage to the Mahadhammakaya Satya. Primordial fire being the sunlight from the start of the universe and was ignited by focusing the sun rays through a magnifying glass. This so-called primordial fire symbolized the act of focusing people's minds at the center of their body, the place whereby the inner light occurred. Afterwards, the replica of a mythical animal called Erawan elephant, said to be the vehicle of the Sakya gods, was placed by the congregation at the entrance of the Mahadhammakaya Satya. This 33-headed elephant was a symbol of the people's efforts through team working. In the afternoon, the congregation proceeded to the Mahadhammakaya Satya site again. They paid homage to the Satya with offerings of aromatic candlelight. Prarabh Havana Visud led 32 representatives of lay people to place the gold leaves on the piles amid the beautiful chanting sounds of the Buddhist monks. Then these piles were driven into the ground as the first set of foundation piles for the Dhammacaya's amphitheatre. On that day, nearly 500,000 people joyfully blew floating soap bubbles representing iridescent crystals of peace and harmony. These millions of bubbles represent the brightness in the people's minds, which they use to offer in homage to the Satya of the Triple Gem. The idea to build a place to give people the Buddha's Dharma teachings attracted international organizations. Buddhist and non-Buddhist alike, seeing that this place will create inner peace through minds well trained in meditation. The most venerable Pratep Kittipanya Kun and Pradhamma Raja Nuat then give sermons on the praising of the Triple Gems to the congregation. At night, the ceremony of the inaugural opening of the Mahadhammakaya Satya ended with a colourful fireworks display covering the whole area, marking the millennium of gems for 1,000 years of world peace.
The Lord Buddha had mentioned that there are two reasons why people cannot practice their generosity: stinginess and negligence. Stinginess is because they are afraid that after they give, they will not have enough for themselves. The Lord Buddha compared this kind of people to being like a clean swamp which is located deep inside the forest where no one can get to. And the swamp is not used by any animal or human being.
Okay, and how about the negligence?
Negligence. You are negligent because you did not listen to the Dhamma of the Lord Buddha. Your life will be wasted because you do not know the true facts of life. You do not know how to cultivate merit in this life in order to be free from the circle of rebirth and enter yourself into nirvana. And nirvana means the end of the circle of rebirth.
I understand so much about Buddhism after I spent my time learning it. I understand the real goal of life and how to fully practice in order not to come back for any further rebirth. And the one thing to do is to cultivate merit.
Yes, we might somehow make a mistake because we are just ordinary people. But after we know the truth of the Lord Buddha's teachings, we have to keep doing the right things and not to repeat the same mistakes.
We can practice the 5 precepts for the standard of our own practice, which will make it easier for us to follow.
And it is now getting very close to the important day, the day of casting of the Dhammakaya images and the offering of alms to over 30,000 temples throughout Thailand.
So whoever has not yet had your own Prathamakaya image has to do it soon. You'll be proud to be a part of this world heritage.
Yes, and on this coming April 22nd, Wat Prathamakaya will close all the reservation list for any further Dhammakaya images. Your comments and questions are always most welcome and can be sent to our address at worldwideweb.meditationforpeace.info.
Our viewers, please practice generosity, keep in precepts, and practice meditation, which are the most important things to do in life, as we are born as a human being. If we can't do them all, we are considered a smart person and not negligent in life.
Practicing generosity, keeping the precepts, and practicing regular meditation will help make your meditation better. We have to say goodbye for today, but we will see you again next week. สวัสดีค่ะ
Sawadee krap.